we've had some nice weather for the last few days. So I have been spending every day out on the road grader from sun up to sundown. And I haven't really been paying attention much to the news. But this morning I was kind of looking to see what this election nonsense was, and you've got yourself in quite a pickle there. You know, it's a shame really to see what can happen. But this is going to drag on for quite a while. And honestly, even if Biden wins, he's never going to be considered a legitimate president by at least half of the people. You know, this whole mail-in voting thing was doomed from the start. It was going to be a problem, and it has showed itself to be a heck of a problem. You know, well, and it's a sad thing because there's all these problems that turn up, but you can't say anything about it. You know, you can't you know, you gotta pretend that this election is all above board, there's no shenanigans going on, or you'll just be shut down completely. And it's never that way, and it certainly isn't that way this time. I mean, it was set up to be a mess from the get-go. So they're going to fight about this for a long time, but I doubt if you'll ever get to the bottom of it, because if they do declare Biden as the winner, you know, any dissenting voice is going to be completely shut down, more so than they are now, and they're about as tough as you can be now. You know, like I say, you really don't get the truth from this country. You have to go to other countries to get a good idea of what's actually going on here. It's a hell of a pickle. But, you know, like I said, I really haven't been paying attention all this week, so you know, to me it's all kind of new, but it is surprising what they think people will be willing to swallow. You know, it's funny, like I was looking at this one map, you know, not the regular red and blue by state, but if you look at the red and blue county by county, you know, if they show you the whole map of the country and what the vote is in the counties, it's almost solid red. There's these little blue specks that are from the cities. You know, but the majority of the country is all red. But this blue is spreading like a rot. You know, it's gotten to be where it's like these major metropolitan areas are like city-states, and the rest of the country, we're just serfs. You know, what we have to say doesn't matter. We're just supposed to pay our taxes, and if the city-states decide they want to have a war, then we're supposed to do the fighting. You know, it's a funny situation to be in, but I don't know how they think that there won't come a point in there where the serfs are just going to rebel. You know, it's got to happen. You can only push people so far. And they think that, you know, they're doing this whole block out on the news and not allowing people to say anything. They think they're going to slip by with that. You know, because there really isn't any news that you can trust. It's just funny to watch. Oh well. I'm going to have about 2 good days of weather. So I'm going to knock out, I got projects I'm working on that I want to get finished before we really freeze. So I'm going to go at that now that I got the roads in shape. Well, except for my driveway, I got to hammer at that a little bit, but that's not a big deal. But it is disturbing to see, I kind of purposely didn't get involved in this. I stayed out of the news, and because I knew it was just going to be bullshit, all these projections and polls, and that's all nonsense. Well, and it turned out to be worse than nonsense in that a lot of these projections and stuff being made were really more to influence the vote and all this crazy stuff that comes out, trickles out some of the stuff that was going on. But it all went around these mail-in votes. But you can't talk about it. But hopefully, I'm glad that, that Trump is really working, not just give up on this, but work at it a little. We need somebody to try to keep people honest, because this, they always scream about the integrity of the election. There's no integrity involved in this. Yeah, it's a sad situation to be in. And I don't know where it's going to go from here. Well, they're going to drag this out and drag this out. There really won't be a decision for a long time. And then if it's just the decision where they say, oh, yeah, this one's the winner, and there's no evidence of this, I mean, I really, when they say count all the votes, yeah, but you really got to make sure they're legitimate votes, because there's a lot of stuff going on that, again, you can't talk about. It is funny. We're supposed to have freedom of the press, and we don't. Free speech, we don't. Yeah, I can talk, yeah. But if I put a video up and actually say what I think, it would be shut down. So you got to go with this. Let's stick with this line. But that's a sad situation to be in. Like, I said before, I don't care what kind of lunacy people want to talk about. I think they should have the freedom to talk about it. But to just shut it off, which all these media companies and these tech companies, they have the ability to do that, to just shut it down. That really can't be allowed. But if they have their way, if somebody doesn't step up and stop them now, it's going to be hard to come back later and try to stop them. So really, when I hear people saying, oh, Trump should just quit, what, with all these court cases and all that stuff, no, somebody's got to stand up for regular people, If it's got to be him, it's got to be him. There's nobody else to do it. Oh well, get my work done. I'll check back later and see what you nuts are up to. But it's going to be a long, drawn-out court, and it's so funny, like these courts are so partisan. So many of these judges, and even like these people counting the votes, where yeah, they're supposed to have people watching, and then they don't allow people to watch, and then it's almost to the point where you have to bring in somebody from some other country or somebody, because the people here, you really can't trust them. People are very dishonest. You look at, even like with these mail-in votes now, they keep finding votes all over the place, and they're going back and like votes that were mailed, ballots that were mailed after the election, and they're predating them, going and changing the postmark back to, before. And then they get tear it open, yep, throw the envelope away. Well, there goes your evidence. So if there isn't somebody watching, and nobody's watching, I really, like I say, I've said this before, a lot of times when these shenanigans turn up, it's the poll workers, it's the people, they're like volunteers. They volunteer because they have an agenda, a lot of them. I'm not saying all of them, but if they got a chance to influence things, they tend to do it. And I don't know, the post office seems to be, people keep blaming on this guy who's the head of the post office, but really, he has no influence over letter carriers having a trunk full of mail, or dumping it all in a dumpster. That isn't him. That's the actual people working at the post office. And of course, the postal union is pro-democratic. She's a hell of a pickle. But it would be, because it is, you can't just count all the votes that turn up. They have to be actual legitimate votes by people who are actually allowed to vote, not dead people. But no, rush them in there in the middle of the night. It's almost like they aren't really even trying to hide the mischief that they're up to. It's like, well, actually, they told you they were going to do it before they ever did it. And now that they're doing it, then they're denying that, oh, there's nothing wrong here, nothing to see here. And then put cardboard over the window so nobody can see what's going on inside. Yeah, integrity of the polls. Nobody will ever trust it again. It can't be. It can't be trusted. Because anytime you get people involved in it, like I say, they all have an agenda. And then people say, oh, why can't we have computers do this? Because they can be fiddled with too. All this stuff has been done before. And these Democrats are an expert at doing this stuff. So, who knows what will happen. But I'll get my boards cut. I know that'll happen. Unless some disaster befalls. But we'll give it a week and then see how it shakes down. Probably no good will come of any of this. But I don't know how Biden is ever going to consider himself to be a legitimate president. And then they'll get him out of there. The problem is now with all this stuff going on, there's a lot of crooked stuff that went on that will now be swept under the rug. Somebody's got to roll that rug back up. I keep thinking, if Trump was to give up on this, he should actually organize and get going a new media service. Somebody could actually bring this stuff up without being censored. Because we don't, like Fox used to be kind of good, but I know that one day when I was watching and all of a sudden, and they brought up George Soros and they just shut him down. When they shut Newt down, it kind of opens your eyes and you realize, oh no, they're not on the conservative side either. They're getting right close to CNN there. But maybe somebody can come up with an independent news that is actually honest. Boy, honesty is in short supply these days.